I've got 9:30, so we'll go ahead and get started. Uh, in the For these meetings during session, as a reminder, we'll do a legislative update and an administrative update, and then any questions that you have. But there won't be action items scheduled. There's nobody here in the boardroom, but we do have Jason, Ade, Tarina, and Wolf online or on the phone. For the legislative update, all of the board bills have been introduced into the session. The Select Committee on Pension Policy joint bill with DRS, the decision was made just to use the same bills from last year that were still alive. So the month of death bills are 1414 and 5335, same as last year. The two new bills, left two, the first one, the survivor option re-election, is 2678 and 6417. At this point in time, neither of those bills have been scheduled for hearings. The third bill has to do with the definition of period of war. That's 2655 and 6418. That's the bill, as you'll recall, that deals with interrupted military service. And it was a left two only bill, provided a couple of technical corrections, did not expand the coverage for free interruptive military service credit beyond the current policy. That bill is scheduled for a hearing in House Appropriations tomorrow afternoon. There's a second bill, definition of veteran, by Representative Paul, 2544. That bill is also scheduled for a hearing in House Appropriations tomorrow afternoon. That bill takes one of the technical corrections that the left two board used, but not the other, and then it also expands to include expeditionary service. So we have notified the sponsor of the bill and notified committee staff about the potential differences between the two bills. That bill applies to all the plans, not just left two. We'll be monitoring that and working with staff to kind of make sure that the conflict between the two bills is everybody's well aware of it. Right now, there's nothing else to say. We'll know more after the bills are heard tomorrow. As far as other bills affecting left two, the only other thing worth mentioning right now is that the Department of Retirement Systems has a bill introduced to help protect the privacy of members' medical information. We'll keep you appraised on that one, and we're tracking that one on our website, as well as all the other bills that I previously discussed. Are there any questions about any of the bills?
Steve, this is Jason. I don't have a question on any of the bills, but I do have an unrelated question.
Sure.
Whenever that's appropriate.
Yeah, go ahead and fire away right now.
As you may or may not know, organization called the Freedom Foundation has filed a PDR for DRS for everybody's information, and of course, throughout the course of the last, I would say, 2 months, people have been getting emails from their agencies notifying their employers have been saying, hey, just so you guys know, you're going to, the DRS is getting PDRs and so on and so forth. Has anything blipped up on the radar? Is there any kind of discussion that you've heard or anything from legislators or anything like that? I mean, we all know how PDR works. we know that there is a law enforcement exemption, only to a short extent. But can you just speak to that? I don't have an expectation that you know everything about it. I just didn't know if you guys have heard any buzz or anything.
Yeah. So there is some stuff going on. Let me kind of back up. In general context, the laws are trying to catch up with the technology in this area. So, for instance, you've talked about limited exceptions for law enforcement. There's also some exceptions about releasing private information about certain employees. So, for instance, if somebody's been the victim of stalking, you're not supposed to be releasing their private information. Agencies are supposed to keep a database of those types of which employees are subject to which exceptions. One of the things that the Freedom Foundation and others have tripped to, though, is that you can pull together public information from a number of different agencies and stuff online and pretty much get whatever you want. So, for instance, they can get information that's historically been releasable, if you will, from the Department of Retirement Systems and do a web search and get home mailing addresses or home addresses for just about anybody that they want. And in addition to you guys getting emails about the public disclosure request, for instance, teachers have already received mailings at home from the Freedom Foundation encouraging them to opt out of the unions. It's expected that other public employee groups, and probably you guys as well, eventually will get the same types of mailings. There's, in Washington, there is a very broad policy goal of open public records. And so there's kind of a struggle right now to find the right balance between what is and is not appropriate for release. So that question, Jason, is being reconsidered, but I can't say that there's any sort of specific proposals right now. There are a number of different bills out there, and there may be some movement on it this session, but I don't know that it's going to happen that quickly. Yeah.
This is Tor. Can I add a little bit to that response?
Sure.
So our office is following this very closely and trying to coordinate the advice because, as Stephen, you pointed out, the request has gone out to all agencies in addition to the DRS, right? And it's my understanding that currently currently there's basically an injunction, or the courts have stopped the release is being held up at the moment because of this issue of identifying people within the records for whom the information cannot be released, right? But so it's sort of at an impasse momentarily, and actually we just got an update yesterday. There was the Freedom Foundation has asked for direct review to the Supreme Court. They have been trying to accelerate or move things along in the courts because they see sort of the state's position as being one of potentially, delaying things or holding it up on the basis of, a limited pool of people, as Steve pointed out, whose information is completely protected. And it is a conflict as Steve described. The only thing I would say, so right now nothing's happening. I agree with Steve's assessment that it would be extraordinary for there to be a legislative fix, if you will, in this time frame. The courts will hear this, and it'll be really interesting to see what comes out of that. And now that, and I will make sure going forward that I will send all of the periodic updates that our office gets. I will make sure that Steve and you guys have that so that you can stay abreast of the issue.
Thank you, Tor and Steve. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, Jason. All right. Are there any other questions about legislation before I move on to the administrative update? All right. Real quick on the admin update, we still have not received approval from OFM to begin looking at alternate sites to move to. The budget package for the agency move was included in the governor's budget, so we're moving forward. I had hoped to have approval before this meeting, but I'd also had hoped to have approval before December and before November. So this is just, I don't know when to expect that will happen, but I don't think that there's any change in the plan for the upcoming interim, which again is to continue to be located in the same building where we're at, and all of the board meetings for next year, except for the October offsite, will be also here in this SIB boardroom. As far as a budget update, the second quarter budget reports were included in your materials. We're underspent right now slightly, and projected to be underspent right now for the biennium by about $33,000. So we're slightly ahead of schedule. Most of that has to do with some of the expenses related to the study for the tribal police. I don't know if any of you have any questions about the budget, and if you haven't had a chance to look over the documents, the budget spreadsheet that was sent out, please feel free to call or email me at any time if you've got questions about anything that's on that. As far as outreach activities, the State Council of Firefighters has their legislative conference February 4th and 5th. We will be there to listen and answer questions. WACOPS has their winter meeting February 10th through 12th. It'll be the same thing. We'll probably be providing some kind of board legislative update and be there to answer questions as well. We will send out updates as session continues, so we either by text or by email inform you when board bills are scheduled for hearings and that kind of stuff. Remember also, we are Rumor Control Central, so if you hear crazy rumors about some potential piece of legislation, for instance, there's already a lot of stuff circulating about the benefit improvement account. Please, you can reach out to me, and I'd be happy to let you know what is or isn't accurate about any of those rumors at any time. We do that all the time during session, so don't feel like you have to wait till the next board meeting. The next board meeting is February 26th. It's at 9:30, and it will be similar to this meeting. It'll just be primarily electronic with a ledge update, administrative update, and Q&A. Any questions about the administrative items or about something that I have not covered?
No, Steve, this is Mark. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I got on just a little bit late, so just want the record to show that I was here. That's all.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you for all your hard work. Yep.
We'll get that noted. And then did you have any questions? The ledge update's fairly straightforward. All the board bills are in. The military bill will be heard in the House tomorrow. And there's another military bill that's slightly different, and we're coordinating those differences.
Okay. Are you going to testify on that item?
I'm going to give Jacob a chance to testify this session.
Okay.
But we will be there, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll look for the video.
Any other questions? All right. I think you're good to go then, Wolf.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome, Ade.